I wanted to take a moment and give a big thanks to Dreams in the Witch House Rock Opera for allowing me to use their amazing music in this video. If you like cosmic horror and great music, check out the rock opera based on Lovecraft's harrowing tale of the same name. To celebrate their kindness, I'm making this video ad-free for everybody. Check them out using the link in the video description. Welcome to the Twisted Tentacle Inn. I'm your Innkeeper Vase Odin, and today we'll be discussing Sanity for Delta Green, the role-playing game. Every agent has a sanity score, which represents their tolerance when exposed to circumstances that test their mental endurance. It's important to note that a low sanity score doesn't represent insanity, nor does it represent mental instability. A person with a sanity of 80 is just as sane as an agent with a sanity of 20. Sanity is only a representation of tolerance. When that tolerance is tested, it is only then that mental disorders and insanity may begin to surface. Sanity is determined by taking your POW score and multiplying it by 5. So if your agent has a starting POW of 10, then their starting sanity is 50. When your agent faces a situation that may be traumatizing, they have to make a sanity check to determine how well they handle what they've just experienced. For example, if your agent is investigating an abandoned warehouse and they stumble upon a mutilated body, they would make a sanity roll to determine the impact that has on their mental stability. Failing usually causes sanity loss based on the circumstances. Passing a sanity roll may still cause some sanity loss, but usually it's a lot less than if your agent failed their roll. Neither passing nor failing have any effect on their own other than a drop in your current sanity value. But a loss in sanity is still an indication that stress is taking a toll on your agent's grip of reality. It's appropriate to roleplay the effects that others notice when your agent experiences a loss in sanity. But remember that a loss is not a cause for you to lose control, unless your handler tells you that that is the case. When you make a sanity roll, you'll roll a 100-sided die and compare the result to your sanity score. If it's at or below your sanity score, you'll succeed. If you roll above your score, you fail. If you roll a 0-1 or matching dice below your score, the roll is a critical success and you lose the lowest amount of sanity possible from a success. For example, you roll a sanity check that causes a sanity loss of 1d4 on a success and 1d10 on a failure. If your sanity is a 50 and you roll 22, you'll lose the lowest possible for the success, which in this case is a 1. Because you rolled a critical success, you don't need to roll 1d4. You automatically take the lowest possible amount. On the other side of the coin, if you roll 0-0 or matching numbers above your score, it is a critical failure. You'll lose the maximum possible amount, which in this case would be 10 sanity points. There are 3 types of sanity loss: violence, helplessness, and the unnatural. Violence. If you experience excessive violence against yourself or witness violence against others, it is possible that you'll lose some sanity. Being shot at is an example of a time when an agent may lose sanity due to violence. Your agent having to shoot a child may be another. Helplessness. If you're in a position that prevents you from helping yourself or another person, you may experience sanity loss from helplessness. Witnessing a family member having a heart attack when you have no medical training and cannot help them is an example of a time when an agent may lose sanity due to helplessness. Being tortured is another example. The unnatural. Witnessing events that defy our understanding of reality is a cause for losing sanity to the unnatural. Witnessing a fellow agent float up into the air in an unexplained manner is a way your agent may lose sanity due to the unnatural. Looking upon Cthulhu Incarnate is another. Your agent can become accustomed to a type of sanity loss. For example, soldiers in war see violence on a daily basis and can tolerate it or tune it out more than the average person. If you lose sanity due to violence or helplessness 3 times without reaching your breaking point, it'll cause your agent to become adapted to that type of loss. Becoming adapted allows an agent to automatically succeed any sanity rolls against that type. For example, say your agent is shot at and doesn't reach his breaking point from the sanity loss due to violence. The next day he's shot at again, and a 3rd time on a different day is shot at again. And if he still has not reached his breaking point due to the sanity loss, your agent now has become adapted to violence. The next time he is shot at, he will automatically succeed on the roll because he is adapted to violence. There is no possible way to become adapted to sanity loss from the unnatural. So you can become adapted to helplessness, you can become adapted to violence, but you cannot become adapted to the unnatural. Keep in mind that becoming adapted doesn't prevent sanity loss from that type. Sometimes a success still incurs some kind of loss. Being adapted means you incur the loss that would be incurred upon a successful sanity roll. Sometimes that means 0 sanity loss, sometimes you still lose some. There are 2 times where sanity loss will manifest outwardly and greatly affect an agent's behavior, thereby causing the player to lose control of that agent. The first happens if your agent loses more than 5 points of sanity in a single roll. When you lose 5 sanity in one go, you go into a sort of panic mode. Fight or flight takes over, and sometimes you just freeze in place. Your handler determines the outcome and the duration. Because it's involuntary, this behavior is not a choice that you get to make as a player. This is called temporary insanity. Another agent with the psychotherapy skill may be able to talk you out of temporary insanity, but you'll need to check with your handler on whether you can make this happen on your particular situation. When you go temporarily insane, your handler will work with you to determine what happens with your agent during this period. Sometimes, your agent will attack blindly against anyone they deem to be an enemy. Other times, your agent will run as fast as they can with the mindset of surviving despite the outcome of whatever caused their sanity loss. Other times, your agent will freeze and not do anything at all. Sad as that may be, and regardless of the consequences, sometimes circumstances are such that a person just freezes and allows fate to take its course. The second outward showing of sanity loss happens when your agent reaches their breaking point. Your breaking point is determined by subtracting your POW score from your sanity score. So if your POW score is 10 and your sanity is 50, your breaking point is 50 minus 10, so 40. What this means is that if you lose enough sanity to hit your breaking point, then you'll develop a disorder. In addition, you lose a motivation, of which you start with 5. Every time that you hit your breaking point, you'll lose a motivation. It also resets your possibility of adaptation. So if you lose enough sanity to reach your breaking point before you become adapted to a type of sanity loss, you'll have to start over and lose sanity 3 times without reaching your breaking point again before becoming adapted. So if an agent is shot at and then is shot at on a different day and reaches his breaking point, then the next time that he gets shot at, he'll have to start over. He'll need to be shot at 3 more times, losing sanity in those 3 times without reaching his breaking point in order to become adapted to violence. So, what is a disorder? Well, once you hit your breaking point, your handler assigns a disorder to your agent. It could be anything from an addiction to PTSD to megalomania. You then subtract your POW from your current sanity score and set up a new breaking point. Once you gain a disorder, you can suffer acute episodes of that disorder at random times. Your handler will tell you when you suffer an acute episode. Luckily, there are a few ways to mitigate some effects of sanity loss. If you have any bonds, you can choose to project sanity loss to a bond. How this works is when you lose any amount of sanity, you can tell your handler that you'd like to project the loss to a bond. You roll 1d4, reducing your willpower by that amount and also reducing the loss of sanity by the same amount. You then reduce the value of a bond by half the amount rolled, and you'll later have to roleplay the repercussions of that projection. For example, if your agent is captured and tortured, causing them to lose 5 sanity from helplessness, you may decide to project the loss onto your agent's bond with his father. Your agent reminisces the good times he had when fishing with his father, and you then roll 1d4. In this case, you happen to roll a 4. You reduce your agent's willpower score by 4 and reduce the sanity loss by 4 as well. You also reduce your agent's bond with his father by 2 points. Next time your agent speaks with or sees their father, you'll roleplay the rift that begins due to your agent now associating the harrowing experience of being tortured with memories of his father. Another way you can mitigate the effects of sanity loss is by repressing insanity. If your agent suffers a temporary insanity or acute episode of a disorder, you can attempt to retain control of your character by focusing on the people who depend on you. You start by spending 1d4 willpower points. Take half the number rolled and reduce a bond by that amount. After you reduce the bond, make a sanity test, adding the value of your bond to your score as a bonus. If you succeed, your agent retains control of themselves and is able to repress the insanity or acute episode. There is actually a third way that sanity can affect your agent's behavior. It's when your sanity hits 0. If this happens, your character becomes an NPC, or non-player character, and your handler gets control of that character. At this point, your agent's mind is lost, and there is little hope for them to continue being a productive member of society. And that does it for today's discussion on Sanity for Delta Green, the role-playing game. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please consider subscribing and clicking the like button to let me know you'd like to see more videos like it. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments below. As always, I'm your Innkeeper Vase Odin with the Twisted Tentacle Inn. Check in anytime. I'll talk to you then.